The origins of BMX in Oklahoma really began in about 1968 when my brother Kerry got a Mattel Stallion BMX bicycle, which was the first BMX bicycle ever. And we began to ride dirt trails and jumps and carve out little paths where we could ride our bikes in the woods near our house. And then sometime in the early 70s, I met a fellow by the name of Matt Raymer, and Matt had a cool number plate on his bike. And so the three of us were a natural fit, and the three of us were known around town as the bicycle guys. And we just began to build and develop trails. And then in the early 70s, around 72, 73, we began to put on some races. My uncle Jerry Matthews was a huge influence on me, and he was a famous flat track motorcycle racer. Another guy, Randy Cleek, who since passed away, was a famous road racer and flat tracker. And we really just wanted to be like those guys. Some of the other kids were emulating Roger DeCoster, the motocross guys, but we really got into the flat track guys, because we could see them, we were related to them, and so it was really cool. So we began to race in circles. We raced at a place called Corky's, which was a motorcycle repair shop, and we raced in circles. And we would run, 5 or 10 laps, whatever we decided. We always had trophies and put up a poster and invite people out to race, charge an entry fee, maybe make a small profit. And so we became small part-time entrepreneurs at BMX in the very early 1970s. And then our dads would occasionally help us out, running the races. But really it was just a bunch of kids putting on races. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think the first official race run by adults and run by a company was run by Albros Schwinn Cyclery. The Albros track, and actually it was near Edmond, Oklahoma, in northwest Oklahoma City. And this bicycle shop put on a race and sponsored it. I was 13, so it was either late 74 or early 75. And Matt and I went up there from Shawnee, which was about an hour away, and we loved it. We thought the track was great, and it was slightly downhill, had a really cool mud hole, and Matt and I both won our classes. And in fact, I believe we were undefeated on that track for the year and a half that it was open. In addition to racing in circles, we also had 2 dirt tracks, and one at the Bowers house and one at the Herds Ranch. And those ran for about a year, but at the same time, we were looking for a permanent location beside somebody's backyard, and we had some land donated by a fellow named Don Smith. This is around late 1974, and the first tour was about to come through. And we built a track that was simply called the Shawnee BMX track. And it was a pretty nice downhill track in a bowl-shaped piece of land, and we built the first national track that we had there. NBA contacted us about the time we were building the track, and just to let us know, hey, we're here, and we'd like to sanction your track. And they offered Matt the lowest number. He got number 10. And then I got number 11, and my brother Kerry got number 12. And so that was the start of a good relationship with the NBA. And later that year, the first NBA tour came from California through Oklahoma, and it was one of the first stopping points. Well, the thing that I recall first about the Shawnee track was that it truly was just exhilarating to ride your bike on, because it started with a long downhill first straightaway. So even if you weren't a great bike rider, you're going fast. And it's one of those things you just didn't have an option. If you were going to get on the track, you're going fast for a while. And so it went downhill for quite a ways, and it had a very abrupt jump. And it wasn't necessarily so tall, but it really just shot you in the air. And today's tracks all have backside, but we landed flat bottom. And right after you landed, you had an immediate left-hand turn and then another straightaway. And then we had what's called a European turn, which was an uphill turn and with a drop-off coming out of it. And so it was a 180 uphill turn, and then you dropped off coming back out of it. And it was just a lot of fun and required a different kind of skill, because you basically came to a stop. And then the track winded down to an end. We had a couple smaller jumps and some S-turns. And the track was probably a little over a quarter of a mile long, but you were pedaling the whole time. And we really got to some good speeds on those tracks, and you could pass. And if you weren't fast, you got passed. You could get in the lead in front of somebody maybe, but you had to be fast to be first at the finish line, and you had to race the whole track. So it was awesome. Those were great days.